Evergreen Podcast Network. I'm your host, Joe Gilbert. I'm with Taylor Jedrzejek again. Taylor, how you doing?
Pretty good. Christmas shopping's done.
Good.
House is a mess, but luckily Christmas isn't here. So
Yes. Still got time.
yeah, but all the shopping's done. Just gotta get through the last couple days of the work week, and then 3 days off.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm lucky enough to be off this week, so yeah. This is the BrownsCast, getting you ready for the Saturdays. Another Saturday game, Browns versus Saints. Before we get to that, we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy today. For first-time depositors, enter in the code WFNY at checkout, and Underdog will match your deposit up to $100. Underdog is a great platform if you're targeting a DFS salary system. There are tons of game types and drafts every night of the week for every sport. Don't forget to use WFNY at checkout and they'll match the first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy. Before we get to Saturday, which is going to be a fun one.
Fun fact about Saturday.
Yes.
Not involving the weather.
Yes.
Browns are currently undefeated on non-Sundays this year.
Yes, that's true. That is very true. We got to keep the streak going here.
Yeah.
Last week, the Browns won on Saturday, as we were saying. Beat the Ravens. Anything come out of that game? Anything that comments late in the week or anything that have you want to kind of hit before we move on to this week?
I don't think anything really came of it other than winning. Winning is always good for the building. Yep. Most interesting comment I saw probably actually happened today when Mike Prefer actually went out of his way to call out Cade York.
Yeah.
I think for the first time this season.
Yeah.
In a negative sense, not like a he's still working on it sense.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that NFL kickers shouldn't be missing kicks that badly.
Which is true.
Which is true.
That's
but
very true.
Obviously, there's either Cade York lacking coachability or Mike Prefer lacking coach ability.
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting
one of the two.
Like it's one of those things you can't really know unless you're in the locker room, but that definitely I did see that quote and I'm like, that's interesting to say the least. It's not what you want to see.
No, I mean he's still a rookie. I'm willing to give him time. The fact that he's only cost us one game this year,
right?
Not something you really want to say out loud with some kind of positive connotation, but
true.
A rookie kickers only cost us one game this year.
Yeah,
Evan McPherson cost the Bengals one game last year. It happens.
Yeah.
Rookie kickers are rookie kickers.
Yeah.
So I'm willing to stick with him as long as he stops shanking kicks so badly that they look like that any fan in the stadium could do
it. Yeah, it's also that quote kind of leads me to think I need to get Cade York far away from Mike Prefer. They need to get it's not even criticism that you can take for coaching. He just said it. He just said it wasn't an NFL kick. Can you explain
no
to
shit.
him? No shit. It looked like that. That's
he
a bit
he missed the net by 10 yards. That's
right.
usually bad.
Yeah, when you're a half a second off of the kick and you can tell it's gone. You missed it. That's not an NFL kick.
Yeah.
But that was definitely eye-opening. And it was also eye-opening that Myles Garrett is kind of backing Joe Woods still, it seems like.
I don't know if he's backing him. I just don't think Myles Garrett is the one that's going to...
Right.
The team still technically has a chance.
Yeah.
Myles is still the leader. I think if he goes and voices outward dissent, then they lose the entire defense.
Right.
And,
I can see that.
I think it'll be a lot like kind of what comes out after Baker left. When in the off season, if Joe Woods is hopefully let go.
Yeah.
But Like I said last week, I don't think the scheme was the reason the defense played well last week. I think it was individual efforts
Agree.
on the part of a whole bunch of players making great plays when they needed to, rather than the scheme completely shutting the Ravens down, because the Ravens ran for 200 yards. So, you couldn't even take away the one thing that they did well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely agree with that. Other than that, yeah, we kind of talked about it in the post game show. It wasn't really a noteworthy kind of stuff you could take from in that game.
No,
because both teams were, well, at least the Ravens were definitely handicapped with the loss of Lamar and all that stuff. So let's move on to this week then. We play the New Orleans Saints, who are 5-8, I believe. They lost their
still in contention for the division somehow.
Yes, thankfully for the NFC South, that is the they're 5-9. Sorry, 5-9. Yeah, the NFC North is NFC South is the new NFC East from a couple years ago, where they didn't have anybody above 500. Yeah,
I'm fully convinced that the winner of the NFC South is going to be 6-10 or 7-10.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, they're not going to be 500 above 500. We know that. Yeah,
well, Tampa can still finish above 500. Whether or not that actually happens, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, they're it's a bad division, but it's a huge game for New Orleans because they're somehow still in it. Browns are, I guess you could say, somehow still in it.
Yep. Still on life support.
I think
still on life support.
What are we at? 1% chance according to most metrics.
Let me. I actually have this pulled up. Heading into this week, without taking into account that they win the final two games, it's at 1%.
Yeah.
But if you want to get creative and say the Browns win out, what are their chances as of right now? It is 4%.
Yeah, it was like 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
There's
a number of games this weekend that could affect that.
But I did see the Ravens. If the Ravens lose out, I think they go up to 42% or something.
Yeah, but the Ravens, they're either gonna. I don't know if losing out is really possible for them.
I think it's all depending on Lamar.
Could they lose to the Falcons this week? It depends on if Lamar plays. I haven't heard anything about it.
He hasn't practiced yet. I just saw the update. He hasn't practiced yet, so who knows? You would think by today's Wednesday, you would think you would hope you have your quarterback in there to practice, but who knows?
Yeah, not being able to trust the Falcons to beat a hobbled Ravens team is kind of
very true.
That's another. Basically, here's where the Browns' playoff lives rest right now.
Yeah,
if the Ravens, the Dolphins, and the Chargers all win this weekend, it doesn't matter what the Browns do; they're out.
Right.
The Ravens play the Falcons, who can't be trusted. The Dolphins play the Packers, who can't be trusted. And the Chargers play the Colts, who, if you trust them, you are psychotic.
I did see the Colts have like a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs still.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh man!
I think whether it happens in week 1 or week 15 or whatever week we're in, whatever week last week was, if you blow a 33-point lead, you should automatically be eliminated from contention. It doesn't matter if it's in week 1 or week 18. Just you're done.
Yeah.
But the point being is, if those three things all happen, if the Ravens beat the Falcons, the Dolphins beat the Packers, and the Chargers beat the Colts, the Browns are eliminated regardless if they win out, because the Chargers will have more than enough wins to stay ahead of them. The Ravens will have more than enough wins to stay ahead of them. And I think if the Dolphins were to lose, you would stay at 2%, but you're still on life support.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's not good odds.
Yeah. The most consequential game of the weekend might actually be the Ravens.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, on New York Times website, that's the game that's the brightest orange. If you click Falcons, if the Falcons win, the Browns automatically go to 8%.
Right.
And then they can't be eliminated if that happens this weekend. So
yeah, so it'll be interesting. There's little hope, but
yeah,
never
so
know.
the teams that Browns fans are rooting for this weekend are the Jaguars, Falcons, Bengals, Packers, and Colts.
Not the group that you would want to.
Bengals, sure.
Right.
The
Yeah.
Steelers could actually help the Browns by beating the Raiders, but
Yeah.
I don't know how much that matters.
Yeah, you talk about what matters, and those 3 games are not in the Browns' favor right now. So
No. When asking the Falcons to win on the road in Baltimore, the Packers to win on the road in Miami, and the Colts to beat anyone feels not great.
No, especially I think they have they're benching Matt Ryan for the second time this year. So
Great.
I forget who they said is starting, but yeah,
Does it matter?
Right, it doesn't matter.
If you blow a 33-point lead, where is morale? Like, where is locker room morale at that point?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like, we have seen plenty of Decembers in Berea where locker room morale was at all-time lows. I'm not sure if there's blow a 33-point lead,
right,
morale shot that
exactly.
the Browns could duplicate.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay, well, that's our kind of look at where the playoff hopes lie.
There's our check on the hospis.
Yes.
on our hospice playoff hopes.
Hospice watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get to the Saints. They're 6. What did I say? 5-9. Heading into this matchup, they're still very, very much in the playoff race. They're basically tied for second, 1 game behind, I believe, Tampa. Battle of who doesn't want to lose the most in that division. What's your initial thoughts on the Saints' strength, weaknesses?
Well, their defense has been statistically pretty solid most of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've lost 4 of their last 6, but the last 3 weeks they've given up, a total of 51 points. It's pretty good, all things considered. They've also had a pretty hellish schedule the last month and a half. Ravens, Steelers, Rams, Niners, Bucks, Falcons. So, and they're playing with a backup quarterback and a tight end that likes to cosplay as a quarterback. So
I like that. Yeah.
It's actually Taysom Hill is exactly the kind of player that will go off on the Browns because reasons.
Yeah.
But
right.
Like they're maybe not a team as bad as their record. But they're also not a team that's any better than their record, so I don't exactly know how to evaluate them. They don't move the ball very well on offense. They're averaging almost 20 yards a game less than the Browns a game on offense. Their run defense is just about as bad as the Browns.
Right, yeah. I was looking at that too.
Browns are at 133.1 and the Saints are at 132.6.
Yeah.
So in a game that's going to require running the ball, because I'm not sure passing is going to be an option given the blizzard conditions that could be afoot. You're probably looking at a lot of running the ball on both sides. It's just
it's gonna be interesting because they don't run the ball, even though they have Alvin Kamara, who's one of the top running backs, or used to be one of the top running backs. They have not run the ball very well this year. So it's gonna be interesting, and it's kind of gonna be a battle of who can run the ball probably better this week. Browns finally had a good run game last week. First time in, God, I don't know how many weeks since the Buccaneers game, probably. Yeah, they needed to have success there. But before we get to that, so the Saints, they have some talented receivers. Olave, they have Olave is the rookie this year from Ohio State. He's playing well. We have our old running mate in Jarvis Landry.
Who is existing?
Yes, he's existing. He's basically doing what he did last year.
He has 25 receptions on 39 targets for 272 yards.
Right.
So not a lot.
No. Johnson, their tight end, has been playing better. Playing a little bit better in the last couple of weeks. And as we said, Kamara is their best player on offense. But when their offensive line is struggling, they're struggling pass blocking and run blocking, and it's hard to. We see it here. We have a talented running back, but when you have a struggling offensive line that can't block, it's going to be a tough room to go. So
yeah,
I think it's going to come down to the trenches because their offense line is struggling. Ours could be. We'll talk about it in a second here. It could be on the upswing with the return of Ethan Postich. Hopefully, he can return. So I think that might be a kind of thing to watch. Defensively for the New Orleans, their secondary's pretty solid. Beside their two quarterbacks, they do have a lot of injuries on that side of the ball. Lattimore was limited on Monday, or what was that, Tuesday? So we don't quite know if he's going to play. I would assume he is if he was limited, but and then on defense, you got to watch out for Cam Jordan. He's their guy. He's been on their line for years now and has been great. But he doesn't really have a running mate this year.
No,
which has been a difference for him.
They haven't really been able to replace Hendrickson when they lost him to the Bengals a couple off seasons ago.
Right. Yeah. They do have some good linebackers. Davis is still there. Ever since he left Cleveland, he has been one of the best linebackers in the league, Demario Davis. So he's something I thought. And then they do have Tyrone Matthew, who's also really good. So they do have some playmakers on defense, but they do have some gaping holes on defense. It's pretty similar to the Browns. Like this, if you like, this team is very similar. Besides quarterback,
and that's the difference. They've gotten not good quarterback play from Andy Dalton for most of the season, and Jacoby Brissett was at least serviceable most weeks.
Right,
all weeks really, except for the Patriots game.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're pretty similar teams. But it's gonna be a tight matchup. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout either way. We'll see. So let's talk about the injuries on the Browns before we get to our keys and all that and highlights. Who we're looking for? Browns have their injury report is quite large. David Bell was limited on Tuesday. Batonio was resting. Chubbs was the interesting name on there. He had a foot injury, but I would assume he's talking like he's playing. It seems like
I can't imagine Nick Chubb missing a game unless it's an MCL sprain like he had a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah. Clowney is still in concussion protocol, I think.
I would imagine that they're going to have to plan what to be without him this weekend.
Yeah. Cooper didn't practice, but he was resting, so he's probably just going to have to play injured the rest of the year, most likely. Garrett was sick, but I forget which coach said that he'll likely play. I think it was Joe Woods. Other than that, John Johnston did not practice. He's another guy. He might be with Clowney, but leaning towards not playing, I would assume, because he left the game early and right. I think he left.
Yeah, he did. And that, as much as people have wanted to rag on him this year, that would be a pretty big loss.
Yeah, because they don't really have
he's been
anybody.
good the last month or so.
Right. Yeah, like they have Ronnie Harrison, but like he's been good. He's been okay in that kind of third safety
He's
spot.
He's almost been playing as a hybrid linebacker the last few
Right,
weeks
yeah.
because they don't have anyone else.
Right. So you wouldn't want to like kind of move beyond him and I can't think of the other safety right now.
Delpit.
Delpit. There you go. Delpit. They don't really have anybody, quite frankly. So that would be a big loss. Even though like he's been like there, I would say, wouldn't you say like his presence has been there? Like he's on the field, but like he's not really making big mistakes or kind of making big plays, but he's being solid, and at least last game he did make big plays, so that was probably his best game of the year before he got injured. But just having that kind of solid guy that's not going to be a hole on your defense is important. So if they don't have him, that could be a crusher.
Yeah, I mean, if there was any game to not have a safety, it would probably be one where the wind is blowing 30 miles an hour.
This is very, very true. Very, very true. But man, that is very true. Yeah.
But he is he's had his moments in run defense where it's been like, what the hell is he doing? But
right.
He's also always around the ball. So
he's got more opportunities to screw up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like he's not someone you want to lose, but if there's a week to do it, then it's the week where you're not going to be able to throw the ball because Andy Dalton's going to risk throwing 7 picks.
Right.
And considering Taysom Hill's only option is deep throw, I don't think he's going to be throwing the ball very much.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, that's and then Denzel Ward was limited, but I think he'll probably play. And Donovan Peoples-Jones was resting, and Njoku is once again limited, which seems like he'll probably be just limited the rest of the year and play kind of week to week. But the big news, pretty much the injury wise, besides Chubb and Clowney and Johnson, is the return of Ethan Posich.
Yeah,
that's who saw that coming?
we were hoping for it. I couldn't ever find anything solid on his injury.
Yeah.
Other than he was out for at least 4 weeks, and he's been out 4 weeks. So.
Yeah, it's just funny that like, could you have predicted before the season that we're all clamoring for the return of Ethan Posich? But yeah, it's as we've seen over the past, was it 4 games, 4.5, I think. Without him, the line's been bad, and
and
Froholt is not a center.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really his fault that he's not good enough to be an NFL center. It's just
not his job.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guard.
Yeah,
he's a third string guard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see how healthy he is, obviously, and if he can return back to that. God, he was playing like a possible starter for many years here. If he was that's how well he was playing.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think they're still going to go back to Nick Harris after this season. I think they're very high on him.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Posich hangs around as a backup, or Posich goes and gets paid elsewhere. But I mean, he's played well enough to be a starter on a team.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how well he plays as he returns. But just the return, he's gonna be better unless he's like hampered really bad, which I doubt they would be. He's gonna be an upgrade over Froholt.
Hard to be a downgrade,
right? Hard to be a downgrade. So that's gonna be a huge aid for the run game in a game that this is probably the biggest game of the year for the run game. Because they're going to need it. Because we'll get to this right now. The weather is supposed to be god awful. It's supposed to be Armageddon out there. If you haven't been watching the news or the weather,
Let me see if I can pull up the most recent forecast.
yeah, I think I saw 25 miles per hour wind, but with like gusts of like 40 to 50. So it's gonna be a treat to watch.
High of 17.
Yeah,
20 to 30 mile an hour winds with some snow.
yeah. The snow. I don't think the snow is gonna be too bad.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't list any accumulations.
Right.
At this point.
I think snow is coming on Friday, but Saturday we'll still have the wind and the cold. It's supposed to be really frigid cold, so that's going to be a factor in just kind of keeping hands warm. We could see more fumbles this week, but yeah, it's going to be. I would think this is going to be the biggest game of the year for the run game because they're going to have to rely on it heavily. Because I don't see them having Deshaun Watson throw more than 15 at the most. That would be the most, I think.
If
the weather, obviously,
it's not a day you want to throw the ball.
Right. Obviously, if the weather somehow doesn't become that, it could change. But based on what it's predicting here, 15 passes is about the max at most you would want him throwing.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be kind of an equalizer here almost because it's gonna be who can game plan around the weather the best and who can deal with it the best.
The Saints historically don't play outside of domes very much. So.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, they're not really built for it.
No, so, Andy Dalton's played in it before, at least.
Yeah, so that'll be huge for them, but
that'll be a help. But
still, it's one of those things. Like, even though you've had experience with it, like you're not going to be good in it. Like, no one is.
It's tough to deal with.
Right. Yeah. Other than that, I think basically the run games are going to decide it. Which is kind of scary because the defense, that means the run defense is going to be important. And
well, on one hand, the run defense last week gave up a bunch of yards, but only gave up 3 points.
Right. So, well, are we facing a Ravens offensive game plan that was completely back-asswards and just terrible,
we're facing a Ravens offense that's led by a backup quarterback and a bad offensive line compared to a Ravens offense that's led by a potentially incompetent offensive coordinator, but at least had a good offensive line.
True, that is true. It's like it's going to be almost. We'll see how well the offensive coordinator does it, but yeah, it's going to be kind of opposite of what last week was because the talent is not going to be there for this week.
I mean, this could be a situation. I don't think they're as bad as the Bucs were, but this could be a situation where the Saints just aren't good enough at running the ball to capitalize. I mean, they average 111 yards a game, which isn't bad. I'll look up where that is in the league, grand scheme of the league, but it's tough. It's tough to kind of evaluate them because they just haven't been good.
Right. Yeah.
And not like the Browns have been any better, but
right. I was looking at the grades on PFF. Like their run blocking is one of bottom 10. I think I saw. Just looking at the guys on their line, like it's pretty much a shell of what it used to be. It used to be one of the best lines in the league, and now it's one of the worst, I would say.
I mean, they're ranked 21st in rush offense.
Yeah,
not particularly great. I mean, they're not the Bucs who are the worst.
And I feel like that rush grade is probably aided by Alvin Kamara. Like I wonder how much is like if you go to the run blocking, it's even worse than that. So
I'd love to say, we have the linebacker core to kind of neutralize Alvin Kamara in the pass game, but
we do not.
No.
Ronnie Harrison is your linebacker now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Fields, have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see if they can withstand it. They did last week. They withstood the kind of getting jammed down the middle middle of the line all day. But this game, I don't know if they'll have the luxury of kind of because the offense coordinator was so dumb to not keep running it. I don't know if the weather is going to allow the offense coordinator to be stupid enough to throw the ball. So it's going to be this game is going to be one of the more unique games of the year. Because
every game on the East Coast this week is going to be an adventure.
Yeah, Chicago versus the Bills.
I think Chicago is going to be just awful.
I think it's like minus 30 or something like that, or wind chill or whatever. But they're because the cold front or whatever is like really bad in the north. I was looking at some of the Canadian temperatures the other day, and like they're in the negatives like right now.
The temperature at kickoff in Chicago is supposed to be all of 4.
Yeah,
with a wind chill of minus 17.
Right.
So, yay!
Just to show you like how bad it. Like I think it's Tennessee is supposed to be bad, and then I think it was one of the Florida teams.
12 degrees.
Jacksonville. I think it's Jacksonville. That's like it's like single digits or something, or something very
Jacksonville is playing in New York tomorrow. They
is there someone in Florida?
45 and rain.
Is it Tampa? Someone's in Florida that I saw that was weather-wise was not great, or maybe it was Atlanta.
Yeah, there's no games in Florida this week.
No?
Atlanta's a dome.
Yeah.
But Atlanta's in Baltimore. This temperature's supposed to be 14. Temperature in Dallas is supposed to be 31. Pittsburgh is 11. Carolina is 22. It's supposed to be the coldest game in the history of home football games in Charlotte this weekend.
I bet.
The stadium's going to be empty because the people down here do not deal with that well.
Right. Yeah. It's gonna be a fun, interesting weekend of football. I think scoring's not going to be too high.
Thank God Minnesota's in a dome.
Our betting advice of the week is take the under.
Thank God Minnesota's in a dome. The kickoff temperature is supposed to be minus 3.
Oh God. Jeez. Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. But okay, before we get to our bets and all that, what are your keys to victory? I think they're pretty.
But before the kickoff temperature in Miami.
That's okay.
Miami is 52.
Oh my God. They're gonna have like iguanas falling from trees there.
Miami. I'm not sure those people will know what to do with themselves.
No, and it's probably colder. What's the wind chill? I bet there's wind. There's probably more wind than they're used to.
10 miles an hour, so not bad, but
not bad.
Yeah, I mean, 52 in Miami is very cold.
Yes, it is.
52 in Charlotte is cold.
Yeah, this is gonna be pretty historic weekend of football. Yeah. Luckily, no one's playing on Friday here because Friday is supposed to be.
Yeah, luckily Christmas. If Christmas was Saturday,
they'd
all just be playing on Sunday. But
right.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of brutal weather.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay, what's your keys to victory? I think they're pretty simple.
Force field goals because I don't think anyone's going to be able to kick them.
Right. Yeah.
I think getting the Saints into situations where they have to choose whether or not to kick or go for it is going to be pretty crucial.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have to stop the run at some point. There were times where the Browns defense did kind of slow the Ravens down enough to force them to throw the ball on last Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know how reliable that's going to be this week. The Saints don't usually employ a whole lot of option stuff like the Ravens were doing outside of when Taysom Hill is on the field. So that'll be pretty obvious. Most frustrating play from last week was that little shovel pass. But I just once again, you're playing a team that you are decidedly better than at home, and you have the weather advantage because they're not used to playing outside.
Right.
So you just gotta take advantage of these things. You have a rush offense that you should be able to trust to put up at least 150 yards on the ground. So utilize it and put the Saints in a situation where they like if any team in this game goes up by 2 possessions, it becomes real tough.
Yeah, because you can't really pass back into the game.
Yeah.
Definitely agree.
Like this might be a game where you don't want to defer. If you win the kickoff, you take the ball and go down.
That's
and
a pretty good point.
Like,
or you take the field position.
Yeah. Kickoffs are going to be an adventure if the wind is blowing either directly side to side or directly in the face of kickoffs.
Yeah, I don't see much field goals happening. I would be shocked. I wouldn't think the Browns would put their rookie kicker into that position, and then who knows about the Saints. But yeah, it's not going to be a hard kind of game to figure out. It's who can run the ball better and who can stop the run better, and then also kind of thrown in who doesn't make the most mistakes. Browns won that battle last week. They made the least mistakes and they won. So that's definitely going to be something to watch out for. Besides just the run games and all that. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
I mean, I don't think we should go into this game expecting the Browns to hold the Saints to less than 100 yards rushing, simply because the Saints aren't going to be able to do much else, and the Browns aren't very good at stopping it. I think your benchmark to win, like I would imagine, if the Saints run for less than 160 yards, the Browns are probably winning the game, unless the Browns have turned the ball over 3 times.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's turnovers are going to be the equalizer. So besides the weather, obviously, but
yeah.
So you can't beat yourself.
No,
that's the motto of the Browns season.
Nick Chubb doesn't fumble a whole lot. He's already had his one this year.
Knock on wood.
So just don't beat yourself. Like it's the same blueprint as last week, except for this team isn't necessarily as built to play in this weather as the Ravens would have been.
Yeah.
Like honestly, if you had flipped these 2 games and you played the Saints last weekend when you could throw the ball and you played the Ravens this weekend where you couldn't throw the ball, I'd be more scared of the Ravens than I would be the Saints right now.
I agree. Yeah.
Because if the Ravens aren't given the option to throw the ball,
exactly.
I don't know how many points they would have scored the other day. Last week.
Exactly. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Welcome draw there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get to our picks from last week. Taylor, you went 6-3. I went 5-4. So we were both right on the Browns minus 2.5. They won by 10. Both right on the under. Way under.
Yeah.
They were
the under definitely cashed.
Yeah, they only got 16. We were both wrong on Deshaun Watson total yards. He had 183, and the total under I had was 266.5. So we were both way under.
I definitely thought they'd be able to throw the ball a little more.
I know, yeah. Like he didn't throw it. Like it just was weird. It was like I think a lot of it was because there wasn't a lot of time of possession. Really, like a lot of they didn't have.
Yeah, it was a strange. Like I felt like they should have had more yards than they actually did.
Yeah, Like they were successful throwing it. It just like they just didn't kind of just didn't have the opportunities really. Over under, let's see, we're Browns run game. I was right on that. We had 143. The total was 110, so they were over on that. We were both right on the Ravens of 140. They had 198.
Yeah, but like we said last week, if they had less than 140, there was no shot in hell that they were going to be even remotely close to winning the game. So
exactly. Right. Total passing yards combined, it was 266, and the over under was 320. So Taylor, you were right on that. Who won the turnover battle? Browns did, and that means Taylor was right. And then who led the team in receiving yards? Which is funny. We both said it was either going to be Cooper or it's going to be Donovan or Njoku, and it turned out to be Cooper. So
yeah,
he had a good game. And then we were both right on that score prediction. You were very close. You had 16-10. It was 13-3, so we're close. Season total, your lead is up to 3 now. So I gotta come back here. You're at 51-41, and I'm at 48-44.
Yep.
So we are going above 500 more now. So that's good. Good. Yeah. We're making money now.
We're making metaphorical money.
Yes. Okay, this week it's Browns -3.
I think they'll be able to cover that. I don't think it'll be pretty, but I think they'll be able to cover that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna agree. Yeah, 3. I saw some places that are 2.5, but I went with 3. I think they'll win more than a field goal. similar to last game, I think. Over under 31.5. This is the all-time lowest.
This is tough too because like it doesn't take a lot to go over 31.5.
But like with this weather, it's gonna be a lot to take.
But like without field goals, it kind of makes it tough.
Right.
Like I have no doubt that I think both teams will attempt a field goal in the game. I think you're going to have to be within 30 yards to do it.
Yeah.
So, or probably within 35 yards to feel comfortable.
Probably. So 16-16 would get the over. Just to show you how small the point total is.
I'm going to go under.
You're going under. I'm going to go over.
Just because it's so low.
It's so low. Like
it's so low.
I know they only got 16 last week, but I think I don't know. I think both offenses are better than last week, but yeah, it's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be right around that probably. Next one is 280 total passing yards.
Severely under.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under.
You might have been able to put that at 200.
I know. I was trying to think of a number like 140 each for each quarterback is just so low.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go under. The only thing is like they're a passing team, so that's why I kind of had to raise it a little bit. But that weather could be the equalizer, so who knows? But we'll go under on that too. Next one, over under Alvin Kamara, 90 rushing yards. I'm gonna go over.
I'd think over, and I still might go over, but I just wanted to pull up his game log to see where he's been.
Yeah, he's only averaging like 50 yards a game. That's why I didn't do like 100 or whatever.
Yeah,
it would be
the weird thing
is like over his total.
He's had 3 games this season where he's had more than 90 yards rushing. 2 of them came before October 17th.
Right.
He's had 1 game over 90 yards since mid-October, and it was last week against the Falcons where he had 21 for 91.
But that was in a dome.
Yeah. And they had a big lead pretty early, so they were probably running the ball.
Right.
Now this is probably, I would imagine this is a pass first offense. And a lot of Kamara's runs this weekend are probably still going to be little dump offs in the flat where they can get him into some space.
True. Mm-hmm.
But all it's going to take is one 40-yard run to.
Right. You're halfway done.
Yeah. So I'm going to go over. I hope he doesn't have a 75-yard touchdown run this week.
Yeah.
The only thing that prevented the Ravens from having that last week is J.K. Dobbins doesn't have his speed back yet.
Basically, yeah.
And
he got
Gus
caught
Edwards
really
doesn't
easily.
Gus Edwards doesn't have speed at all. So that's the only reason they didn't break a longer one. But I'm going to go over. I don't think it's going to be by much, even if it hits.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's definitely a tougher one than you would think. Like, you would think, oh, Alvin Kamara is going to get 90 rushing yards. But when you look at his totals this year, like, he's not doing well. That line is not very good for him.
No, and a lot of his damage still comes through the air,
right?
For the most part.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot this season with it, but
yeah,
he's still very threatening through the air. I mean, this season he's 53 receptions for 446 yards, which is not his worst, but it's not great.
Right. Yeah. Okay, next one is Deshaun Watson total yards, 210.
This is also tough because I can't see him getting more than like maybe 130 yards passing. And the offense hasn't shown the propensity to run him on their own, like called runs, a whole lot. He had maybe 2 or 3 last week, not including his third down run.
On third downs, yeah. A lot of them were on third downs.
Yeah, right now they're still relegated to scrambles more than they are actual option plays. So I'm going to go under just because I haven't seen him be able to show that you can make up the difference in not being able to throw the ball with 70 or 80 rushing yards.
Okay. I'm going to go over. I'm taking the over. I think he'll get a good amount of passing yards just from dump downs and screen plays and stuff like that. And he does have a strong enough arm to kind of get through the wind, which has been a problem with some of the quarterbacks we've had here. But I think we'll see his best rushing game of the year too, because they'll need him to.
Yeah, mostly out of necessity.
Yeah, out of necessity. Yep. So I'll go over on that. Nick Chubb, 90 rushing yards, over under.
I'm pretty confident that he'll go over on that.
Yeah,
I think even with the weather, Deshaun Watson's ability to at least find little holes in the short passing game will keep the linebackers honest enough that they're not crashing running lanes right off the snap. And he ran for 100 yards last week, barely not run for like 99. Yeah. They should have given him one more carry to break the Ravens not allow a 100-yard rusher streak.
Exactly.
Just to kind of rub it in, but
it's one of those. I think it's the same situation as the last game you said with the Ravens. If he doesn't get 90 rushing yards, I don't think they win. I think they need him to have.
Yeah, I don't think there's a shot in hell if they don't have Nick Chubb rushing for 90 yards.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, this one's an interesting one. I kind of threw in because of the weather and all that. 1.5 field goals. I forgot to put made. So made field goals combined.
I'll go over. I think 2 get made.
Okay, and that doesn't count for extra points, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna go over. I'm gonna go under. I think 1 at the most.
Look, if there were 2 field goals made in the Blizzard game in 2007, there can be 2 field goals made
Phil
tomorrow.
Dawson ain't walking in that door, though.
No.
Let's just say that. Not to be down on Cade York, but I just have zero confidence that he'll make any sort of field goal on Saturday. But we'll see. Okay, next one is who's going to lead the Browns in touchdowns, not including Watson. He can't use Watson passing.
I feel like we're probably going to have the same answer in saying Nick Chubb. I'm not sure who else is going to score. I mean, maybe Deshaun Watson scores a rushing touchdown, but again, that he's not counted. Yeah. So
it's Chubb. That's what I was going to go with.
Yeah, I mean, Hunt isn't even used enough in the offense anymore to say he's going to poach touchdowns like he did in Carolina.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're both on the same page there, Chubb. Who knows? There maybe have like a short, might be Njoku. They might throw a 2-foot pass or whatever, but I don't know. I don't see that happening. Okay, final thing is the score prediction. What you
got? Let's see. I got to keep it under 31. So let's think. I'm going to go 15-9 Browns. 15 being...
I really want to know how you get these points.
Actually, no. 15, it wouldn't be 15. It would be 14-9. 14 being they get one 2-point conversion and don't get the other. They score 2 touchdowns, go for 2 both times, and
got it.
And and only get one of them.
I got you. And 14-9, you said?
14-9. The Saints don't attempt 3 field goals. They score a touchdown, miss an extra point, and then they kick a field goal later.
Gotcha.
Which kind of goes in the face of my over-under field goals, but...
Yeah, whatever. You'll at least get one of them right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Browns, and then I'm going to go... I got to get 31, so let's see.
It's a lot easier to go have a score for the under than it is the over in this game.
I know.
Because the over is going to imply that you're scoring a whole bunch of points.
I'm going to go 20 to I'm going to go 2013.
Missed extra points?
Yeah. Yes. I just think it's going to be terrible out there. And, I think missed extra points is going to be it. The 2013 is still going to get the over, which is funny.
Yeah.
It's going to be a close game. It's never going to be out of control for any team, I think.
No, and the only way it could get out of control is if the Browns...
Turnovers.
Yeah, if either team scores on their first possession and then a quick turnover or punt, and then they score again, and it's 14 or 12-0 real quick.
Right. Special teams is going to be an adventure.
Yeah. Kickoffs are going to be an adventure. I mean, the wind is blowing southwest. So it's going to be going diagonal across the field from
away from the dog pound.
No, it's going to be blowing into the dog pound. It's going to be blowing into the dog pound from the if you're looking at the stadium going towards the lake, the top left corner to the bottom right corner. It's basically going to be blowing towards the Jim Brown statue. So it's going to be kind of a crosswind.
Yeah.
Inherently, but the wind does funny things in the stadium anyway.
You're on Lake Erie, so it could go the complete opposite direction that it says.
Yeah. just circles.
It's just going to be in circles.
The wind turbine outside the stadium is going to be going at about 700 miles an hour.
How many? I should have did over under. How many pictures of the waves are we going to see? We're going to see somebody on the TV just how many wave pictures they're going to show of high waves. But
I can't. Well, God, it's going to be too cold for that. Usually you see the one windsurfing guy.
Yeah. Oh, there'll be someone out there. My dad knows one of them, and they're crazy. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be out there.
Gonna need 3 wetsuits.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No. Just if you're going to the game this weekend, wear a face mask. Wear ski goggles. I don't know. Don't have exposed skin.
Yeah, I would not be there.
I had exposed skin at that game in 2007, and it hurt for a while.
Oh God, yeah.
And it was not nearly as cold that day. It was only like 28.
It'll be interesting to see the crowd there because, like, we're also forgetting like, we're also forgetting.
It's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, it's Christmas Eve.
Like for the most part, unless it was your plan to go to this game all year as like a Christmas thing, like you're going to have better things to do than freeze your ass off at First Energy Stadium on Christmas Eve. So the attendance is going to be kind of weird, I think, this weekend.
Yeah.
But it's going to be weird all over the place. Like, how many people are going to go watch an eliminated Bears team play the Bills?
Yeah.
And minus 25-degree wind chill.
Yeah.
It'll probably be mostly Bills fans, to be honest.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Other than that, it's going to be an interesting game. So I can't wait to see how it goes. We'll be back with you sometime after the game. Who knows? It's not going to be on Christmas Eve, but we're still getting.
It won't be on Saturday, and it won't be on Sunday.
Yeah, we're still getting that together. But it could be a joined one for our preview next week. But we'll let you know. We'll look out for us on our Facebook page, all our socials, and we'll let you know. And thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a good holiday. Thanks for joining us. And this is another WFNY BrownsCast, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us, and go Browns.
Stay warm.
Stay warm.